Hey, and welcome over to the previews. This is season 2, episode 4. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us. The 11th episode. You guys watched like the 10th one last week, and just welcome back. So we have 2 new guests in the studio today. Guys, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Excellent. I'm Matt Hacunda.
I'm Xavier Rogers.
And we're the creators of Community Chaos.
Awesome. So, give us a little bit more about your background and how you got started in the industry.
Our background, I mean, we're just getting started in the industry, so
fair.
Not a whole lot of background there. We're film students. We're at Emerson right now. I'm studying directing, writing. Xavier is doing
producing.
Yeah. So basically, we've been at this for a while. I've been doing this since I was a little kid. When I started out, got my first camera, and me and my siblings, we kind of make parodies of movies and stuff that we'd watch, and it kind of started out from there. I feel like a lot of our stuff in the early days was making parodies of other films.
Right.
And you get the whole YouTube game and stuff like that. So, but it was a lot of fun. And then I found out can make a career out of this, and that's when we started getting a little bit more into our own scripted series.
Yeah.
We would do we tried doing our own web series and stuff before.
In high school.
In high school, we did a lot of those videos. And then we worked at also a public access station in our town. We had some years of volunteer experience there. They worked there, I think, last summer and the summer.
Yeah, a couple of summers, winter break. I was cutting my teeth there.
Yeah. So, not a whole lot of experience right now, but we are coming a long way, I think. So right now, we're just, it's students at Emerson.
Right.
And for me, a big part of it was being able to tell stories and share laughter with friends.
Definitely.
Because whenever I'm hanging out in my groups of friends, we're always just kind of riffing on bits.
Yeah.
And just kind of improvising and just coming up with really weird things.
Yeah. Seeing what we can come up with our own creations and stuff like that, and the stories we like to tell.
And with those weird bits, it was just I got to share these. And I think the best way to share it is through video.
Yeah. And awesome. we definitely fall into our own thing. Xavier, you do more. You do acting, producing. He was in drama in high school because I'm more behind the camera kind of guy.
Okay, cool. So you guys have known each other for a long time too. What kind of projects have you worked on?
So we started with Dreadful Hour.
Yeah, that was our first foray into a web series. Capitalizing on that Walking Dead fan base and
right.
Yeah.
It was our first attempt, so it wasn't anything too special. I mean, we were happy with the way we were plotting it and the scripting, but the writing was a little scattershot sometimes, and we didn't really develop it. It was kind of we came up with it and we just kind of rolled with it and we shot. It was a lot more work than we were expecting, but in the long run it became good because it helped us learn from our mistakes for this web series.
And the funny thing about that was, I remember the first day we were supposed to film, originally there was going to be another character involved, and I was on my way to grab him to go to set.
Yep.
And I'm calling him, I'm on the way, and I'm just I should let him know I'm on the way. It's morning, he might not be awake, I know this guy. And I call him, he's like, oh man, I'm sorry, but my mom said I can't. And I was like, we were in high school, so
right.
How much can you do? But I remember just going what are we gonna do? And I remember getting to set and telling Matt yeah, he's not coming.
His agent said he couldn't do it.
Yeah. So we just had to rewrite on the spot, get rid of that character, and I think it was for the better. But
we roll with the punches. That happens from time to time because we're not working at professionals. You have to use the people that you know, and sometimes they have other commitments or they can't make it.
You got to make executive decisions.
Exactly, split-second decisions, last minute. You just got to go with the flow, really.
Right.
But I think it does work out in the long run. But we've done a lot of stuff together, mostly just short films. I directed something for your sketch troupe.
Yeah, I'm in a comedy troupe called Durban at Emerson College. And we had this, the latest video we released was something I wrote called One Last Sale.
Yeah.
This guy collected semen samples throughout his life over the course of decades.
Of course.
On the idea that he could sell them to retire on them. Because he thinks he has premium samples.
Yeah.
But the cameraman who he's gloating to brings to his attention that they die over time. They don't just keep endlessly. So on the spot, he has to come up with one last sale to make his retirement. And Matt directed that for me. That was also in the mockumentary
aspects.
Yeah.
It worked well for what our aesthetic was. I wonder how much of that's going to make it in the final cut.
I want to see that.
I'll send it to you
Awesome.
for sure. Yeah, but we did have the mockumentary aspect of that one as well. And we feel like that definitely fits in with our vision and our style because with this web series, it's
we have a low budget, and we want to make sure that we can work that or weave it into the plot somehow. And the idea is that it's a really, they don't have a huge budget like ourselves, so at least we can work with that. And One Last Sale, your character, he thinks he's got like this great plan for retirement, but he's living in this kind of like a shack of sorts, almost. Like
I filmed it in my apartment, and
It's an Alston apartment.
It's a bachelor pad for
yeah,
sure.
Right.
It's a fixer.
In his bedroom, it's just an air mattress.
Yeah, his bedroom, not yours, but like.
Yeah, the character's bedroom is just an air mattress, so you
Right.
get where that character's at. You know,
Yeah.
Right.
there's nothing else in there. It's a white room, no decorations.
the
on
ultimate
walls.
bachelor pad.
Yeah.
Right.
Trying to think of what else we worked on. A lot, like I said, parodies. We did.
So there was the part.
The part. Foundations projects, mostly, stuff for Emerson.
Okay.
So we did the part. That was my foundation. He played a homeless gentleman who was trying to take advantage of this guy who's like a failing actor, and he's trying to make it for an audition. The actor thinks that this guy is the director of the film he's auditioning for, something of the sort. And we did
Also, I think the more important piece of that, or not more important, but the character isn't just taking advantage of the guy. He's like kind of leading.
He is
he's
kind of
leading
guiding him.
through the city, at night in the rain,
Yeah.
making him think that it's not just an audition, but kind of like a life-changing audition.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it.
Well,
Spoiler
no, but
alert.
there's more to it.
Of course.
I'm trying to think. What we also worked on a film from this past semester. It was like for a class as well. A lot of it, it's Emerson, so it's a lot of school projects, and we did a Mascots Need Not Apply, which is basically about mascots and humans live in the real world, and they coexist. And this mascot's like about Moose mascot. He has to go through like this. He's unemployed, and he's trying to basically get back his missing sense of identity. And Xavier plays a bartender because the guy's depressed in it. He goes to the bar and drinks. A Moose mascot. Xavier played a chipper bartender.
Wow.
Very good role for him. And then, mostly, like I said, parody. We did a really bad Hangover parody movie back in high school. Very juvenile humor, but
Right.
we've come quite a way from it.
Yeah, you guys have like a huge full roster too.
Yeah.
But the reason why we're here is to talk about community chaos.
Mm-hmm.
How did that idea come about?
Well, like we were saying before, we have experience in the local access, industry, and that's what we did for quite a while in our town. And we had a lot of good experiences there, but there were also some strained ones. And eventually, we kind of spitballed a lot of ideas before we settled on sort of this like sense of characters and where the plot could go. And that was basically how we kind of formulated this idea for a web series, because we did like the idea of this style of just showing basically episodic stories between these characters and their relationships, but it wasn't necessarily something that could fit into a short film because it's pretty long, and it wasn't something we necessarily could turn into like a feature because that's a bit tough in the series. But we figured web series is probably a good way to start out. Something that we could work within reason and our budget and our limits, while also telling a cohesive story. We definitely came up with a lot of ideas. It took a long time for us to really develop it, but I think in the long run it works a lot better than what we said with Dreadful Hour, because that was just kind of we first thing we went for, and we just kind of shot it. Where this one we were actually like making sure we got the scripts done, everything on time. But elements that we came about, we write from experience, but also like the show is very surreal. So a lot of it is just like almost Lynchian in a way, David Lynch.
You get that small town aspect, and I think what contributes to that, or at least what contributed to my inspiration, was seeing like when you're talking about these committee meetings and stuff that you cover in public access, you come across a lot of very passionate people. They're people that care about their community. They care about stuff. So like they often are at odds with each other, and it can be very entertaining.
It's politics, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
Yeah.
So basically, we did a lot of. I watch a lot of mockumentary series. Like I'm sure people watch The Office, Parks and Recs.
In mockumentary movies, like This is Spinal Tap.
This is Spinal Tap. I just watched What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, I gotta see
Really
that.
great movie. But all these different visual styles, but it's nice because you get a real sense of these characters.
Right.
And it feels like a real world situation. But it's fake, obviously. But that was just something that we wanted to do by design, and we were able to work within our budget and say, hey,
we can do this for low budget and we can make it work because that's the aesthetic we're going for.
Right.
So we can make it work to our advantage instead of being like, okay, like, you know what I mean? We're not going to try and do like anything too huge. We can't do like what we do in the shadows. We don't have the special effects for that kind of thing, but definitely something we can work within our parameters.
And since you've like been working on like film and directing and acting for such a long time, and on stuff in high school and stuff like just in Emerson as well, during the actual production of Community Chaos, was there anything like new that you guys came across?
Oh,
Anything new?
dealing with makeup.
Oh, yeah.
My character is aged up significantly,
Yeah.
as is another character in the series.
We did the reverse of Wet Hot American Summer. Instead of having the characters be these old actors and playing these young kids, we did the opposite of that and had younger actors playing the older characters.
Right.
You went through hours of makeup.
Oh yeah, so did another actor, Nate.
Another
Foster.
actor,
He
yeah.
needed a bald cap applied. He actually
He
offered
wore-
to
he-
shave his head for us.
He was, yeah.
We
he was,
wouldn't let him do it.
A trooper. He wore like, these were, I'm talking about like in the days of August.
The dog days of
Dog
August,
days of
like,
August,
very
and it'd be-
hot and humid.
Yeah, and he would just have to wear this basically like this this fat suit, and he'd be covered in makeup. But his makeup held well
Yeah.
compared to some of the scenes. We had to honestly work that into. His makeup would fall off.
I mean, you can see how shiny I am, and this is just a regular
this-
day. You can imagine,
Right.
in the heat of
Outside
August,
in
I'm
12-hour
melting.
days.
You know, my face looks like, like
Yeah.
a piece of cheese that's been left out in the sun,
It just
just kind of bleeding a little bit.
So basically, that was something I don't want to say we overlooked because we definitely figured it out on the first day that that's going to be tough. And also, we had one, maybe two at some days for makeup artist, and she was always on set and willing to be there for as long as we needed her. But the makeup took a long, long time.
But Lauren was a real trooper about it. She was.
Yeah, no, she was great. She was always up for it, even though we felt bad. We were always just like, okay, like we might need a touch up here and there for the other people, but Xavier, there was really no hope.
So
If it was going, it was going, and you just kind of have to work with that.
So it just became part of the character.
Right.
Yeah.
That he's got gross skin.
Yep.
And I think with that character it makes sense because
He doesn't use proactives. So that was something that we just basically, we just worked into the character. But makeup was definitely something that we realized was going to take a while, and we kind of had to adjust our time for at least the schedules for the days had to become longer because of that. Or we could shoot sometimes different scenes with characters that didn't need as much makeup. I play a character that has very minimal makeup. It's mostly just like the crow's feet. And that's about it. So I was done like that for the most part, and I could shoot my scenes if I needed to do it. We could shoot others who didn't need to get through the makeup process, but someone like Xavier or Nate, we might just leave them to get the makeup and we might shoot something else. It was a very we had a rolling schedule for it most of the time. Other technical aspects, like I said, writing, wanted to make sure we developed that. Because we had the ideas and we had the story kind of like outlines, rough outlines.
But we wanted to make sure that the scripts were 100% set in stone,
Yeah.
at least plot-wise, before we went out and shot.
Yeah,
Right.
Sometimes we do improv takes
yeah.
on some of them, just to see what we can come up with on the day. 'Cause not everything you want to come up with ahead of time.
But the story really drives like what's going on. Like it's something that I really love about our web series, and it sounds a bit like I'm tooting my own horn, but I really like that we had a story that keeps moving forward. In a lot of comedies you'll see on like TV, they stagnate a little bit because they need to focus on certain aspects of it. But because we were going with a shorter format on the web series, every scene is kind of like moving forward.
Yeah, it had this momentum, so it never really just like stopped and there was no flab really.
But that's why the scripts
tight.
needed to be in place before we started.
Yeah.
It had to be very tight.
We wanted to make sure it wasn't our first stab at the script and be like, okay, that's it, let's film. Like we wanted to make sure it took months to go through them, so we wanted to make sure we had everything we wanted, and at least something that can work for rewatchability. So we don't want to make something and then you guys just get bored of it. Like, okay, we're done. And something, obviously leave it closure and open-ended for maybe season 2. But
Right.
definitely something we worked at hard to make sure we got exactly right.
Yeah, and for the post-production, you guys used like an Indiegogo campaign for that. How do you feel like that method, like the internet, like saying like, oh, filmmakers saying like, oh, crowdfunding, bringing us like the money so we can like make these things. Like, how do you feel like that's like improved or evolved over time?
I think just through, almost just like through sheer force of will, it's
Yeah.
improved. Because you've seen a lot of bigger projects using it. There was a Back to the Future documentary about the DeLorean back in
Big
time.
names now doing that. Zach
yeah.
Braff did one.
But these crowdfunding campaigns, like even without the stars, are still gathering lots of funds.
They're getting they obviously have the following to get these funds, and not everyone has that, but
they can definitely make it worth within reason.
But it gets
Depends
it
on
into
what
the
your
public
budget.
sphere.
Yeah.
People outside of the industry recognize it. They don't think they're being like ripped off or anything.
No.
So just
It's an investment you're making, and you have to figure out what talent you want to invest in, and what projects you want to invest in. It has to be something that you care about, like the Back to the Future documentary. Like a lot of people care about that series and that following, so they have a lot of people willing to invest in that. For us, we've only done, I've done 2, including this one. Is this your first one for campaign? You've worked on another one?
no, I think this was my first sole one. First
Yeah.
yeah.
And again, I don't have a lot to say about it because I don't have that much experience with it between this and the other one, but definitely keep it going. Make sure that it is promoted, because some people just like start a campaign and they don't really keep plugging it, which loses momentum. So that's hard. You have to keep going at it. And
Yeah.
Right.
if you have the passion for it, others will also see that.
Also, there's something that I think is important for an Indiegogo is like relevant perks.
Yeah, definitely.
Like these beautiful shirts.
Yes.
Just something like that, like it ties into your product, but it also offers something in return for like your contribution. So it's not just that you're helping out and getting the end product of the series coming out, but you also get a little more of an incentive.
Yeah, you get something in the end too. So not
Right.
only probably finished copy of the series, but you get something like straight out the the series itself, like shirt, prop, signed
Hat.
script, hat. All these perks available on our Indiegogo campaign.
And you guys said that you've been doing this, like you have like a few experiences with campaigns.
Yep.
But for Community Chaos and that, I just like recently checked the page out to be like, oh, how are these guys doing? Like, you guys surpassed your flexible goal of $1,000, and currently, what is it right now?
I think it's somewhere in the ballpark of 1,300,
Give or take, yeah.
somewhere around there.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're immensely
we're-
excited about that.
Yeah, that's it.
A big thank you to the fans.
Yes, the
and
supporters.
supporters,
thank you very
not
much.
fans.
To the
Little-
fans.
Up my own butt.
Save it
about
for the
that one.
Webbies.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're extremely excited because sometimes you don't always reach your goal. I didn't reach for my first one I launched. I raised like most of it, but we didn't reach it. But it was fine because we passed a threshold where it was like we could make it work. This one, it was kind of the same thing where we had a threshold and that was like $1,000. But if you don't make it, you can still go on. That's kind of why we chose Indiegogo rather than Kickstarter, because I think it's a little bit more flexible, at least with the way the money works for that. Because we want to make sure people who donate, we want to have something for them after it.
Of course.
But this is nice because now it's, the more money you raise, the more polished it looks in the end.
And that's the beauty of filmmaking as far as like the flexibility goes, is that no matter what hand you're given, you need to move forward and you need to constantly adapt
Yeah.
to like the changing situation you're in.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's just basically like we talked about on set. It's a lot of just problem solving and just solving puzzles all day. And that's the same thing for any stage of production, even with editing and raising the funds. You got to figure out how to make it work, and you got to work with what you're given. Luckily, we were given very nice, hefty donation from everyone. So
Right.
Thank you to everyone who donated.
Yeah, I think that's awesome too. And after the things that you guys have just said, those are great like words to and notes to take away from like filmmakers who want to do like Kickstarter, Indiegogo
Yeah.
campaigns like this, like the incentives, like making sure people get something back, and then all that kind of stuff. So again, like congratulations on your
Thank you.
success.
Thank
So right now I want to talk a little bit more Community Chaos. What do you feel is the hook of your show?
The hook of the show. So I keep describing it as if House of Cards and Parks and Recs had a baby, and they dropped that baby on its head, and then that baby was adopted by Fargo.
Okay, awesome.
It's one of the best ways to describe it, I think. The draw of the show, I would say people who are interested in something maybe a little bit weirder than most typical.
It's definitely a surreal mockumentary.
Definitely.
We're not too bound by the rules
Laws
of reality.
Yeah, it's got like a step, like a foot in reality, but like a lot of it just like we weren't afraid to
It's
get
got
weird
one
with it.
foot in reality and the other foot on a well-lubricated banana peel. It's it toes that line very well.
Yeah. But
Awesome.
I think probably people who want to see something a little bit, I don't want to say more mature, but like definitely darker and than your typical mockumentary series, weirder, surreal, and just something also just funny that you wouldn't expect out of these other shows. Different draw of like the interactions between the characters, and not so much just the mundaneness, but just like
the whole situation of it and just how bizarre it becomes.
Yeah.
Right. So what we're going to do right now is take it over to a preview of Community Chaos. Make sure you stay tuned for the previews.
What's up, Keen? How's it going, bud?
You know, Alan, Bill's not long for the ED post. Word on the streets that he's gunning for Feister's seat.
So he's stepping down.
Feister told me himself. Says he's gonna be running for selectman in the next few weeks.
Yeah, Keen, how do you know all this stuff, man?
I have my ways. Believe me, I have my ways. Hey, Feister. Looking for something?
Pancake, what the f? Give me that! Pancake out!
Please don't touch me.
Okay.
And welcome back from that preview. I hope you guys enjoyed that clip of Community Chaos. Guys, thanks so much for coming on the show. It was awesome to have you.
It was great being here. It's a
was
fantastic
awesome.
experience.
Do you guys have any like social media plugs or anything like that? So if someone wanted to see Community Chaos or even like get to like contact you for other projects, like what's the best way to do that?
What's the best way to contact you, Xav?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Rego Booty Buddy Joe. Rego is R-E-G-G-O. Booty is how it's regularly spelled.
It's
And
a
same
fan-
with Buddy and Joe. No spaces,
yeah.
no underscores.
It's a family name.
Yeah.
Of course.
You can reach me at, pretty sure my handle is just Matt Hacunda on both Instagram and Twitter. My email, MatthewHacunda@gmail.com, and I also have a website, MatthewHacunda.com. Facebook, Matt Hacunda. If anyone wants to reach me on those, you can find me. No booty, Buddy Joe, unfortunately.
It's not for everyone.
It's not for, yeah.
I didn't choose that life chose me.
The booty life.
Yeah.
Booty life.
Someone
Yeah.
had to do it.
Do you guys have any like shout outs that you want to give for like just support of like the campaign or actors, cast, any of that?
Well, first off, thank you to all of our cast and crew.
Big time.
Yeah, seriously, everyone was like a trooper for that set. We filmed the whole month of August, and pretty much a lot of people were there almost like every day for the most part.
And we were looking at a lot of like 12-hour days even.
Yeah, they were
to make
long
sure it got
days. Thank you to our lead cast, Andrew Medeiros. Did a great job as the lead Alan. Nate Dressel for putting on a fat suit every day for the most part.
And a
going for
bald
living.
cap.
And a
Literally
bald cap.
encapsulated in his own body.
Yep.
Like kind of like Jim Carrey in The Grinch.
Yep,
You know,
just trapped. Yeah. Thank you to Paul Daniels for helping out, being there. He's a trooper as well. Everyone's a trooper. Lauren, our makeup artist, she was great and always willing to stay longer than we felt necessary. So we didn't want to keep her there. Pretty much everyone involved in the cast, any of the supporting actors. Don't want to go through a whole list of ways, but everyone involved for the most part. Thank you to our supporters who've helped us raise the funds necessary to finish this campaign.
Thank you, Birtlebones.
Yes, thank
It's a
you.
supporter I needed to throw out too.
Thank you to our VFX artist, Rob, for helping us out. Anyone else I'm missing?
I'd like to thank my mom. My mom was really helpful.
Yeah, thank you
Some
to
crafty.
family. Shout out to the fam.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much anyone involved who had some sort of help getting this off the ground. Thank you.
Yeah, seriously, it was a great experience to learn like how much support you have.
Yeah.
Just from your own friends and family.
Right.
Definitely. 'Cause this type of project you need support from. So
Yeah.
anywhere that it can come from, it's immensely helpful.
Well, guys, I wish you well on success in the future, and also I can't wait to actually see Community Chaos when it debuts.
Neither can we.
Yeah. We're just as excited.
Right. And make sure that you stay tuned for another episode of the previews.